Well, welcome back. I was just talking with our next guest here, Nancy Benet. Did I pronounce that right?
Correct, yes.
With the Newport Harbor Orchid Society, and we've had these folks on before. They have their Summer Exotic Plant and Orchid Festival coming up at Westminster Mall, and she's brought along some very, very interesting orchids here. First of all, what is basically, I look at all these, they're all very different looking.
Very.
How many different varieties of orchids? Does it just go on and on?
It does. There are about 35,000 different species of orchids all over the world. Except they grow everywhere except Antarctic. They grow here up in the Santa Anas. You can find the native orchids there. What I brought today is a group, well, it actually represents Asia, Southeast Asia, Papua New Guinea, Brazil. This is a bifoliate Cattleya, and a Potonera, which is a Cattleya. All of these, well, they're all grown here. Some of these are grown outdoors in my garden or in the greenhouse. And of course, we're in perfect conditions here for so many plants. It does help sometimes with certain fussy plants. If you have a greenhouse, you want to trick them into thinking that they're in their own environment. So there's a psychology of the plant involved, and they're fun. And it is a worldwide system, and they're fascinating once you get into them and you understand them.
The differences of these and the other species, can you find orchids that fit where you may live? Now, I was telling Nancy beforehand, I live up in Rancho Santa Margarita. We have one corner of our yard by a little spa that is shady kind of this time of the year. You wouldn't think summer, but because the plumerias grow, but then they drop their leaves and it's full sun. Yes, it's more in the fall, but
right.
I get the impression that orchids need a Hawaii type environment.
Most do, in the sense they need the humidity, and that's what we don't have here, and especially this year in the year of the drought, and it's more and more challenging. So we grow under shade cloth. Minimum 50%. I grow under shade cloth outside, that's 63%. So it gives it a little bit of a little help from the burning sun. Most of these grow in places where there is a lot of light, but it's also very humid, so a lot of cloud cover, constant humidity in the air, and that's what protects them. But there are plants that do very well, orchids that do very well in dry conditions, believe it or not. And then there are orchids that do very well. You don't water them from, let's say, certain dendrobiums and other plants that you don't water from November or mid-November to February. They want a drying out period. Because in nature, it doesn't rain. There's a whole variety. So as you get into the hobby and you learn more, there are all these subtleties about the orchids.
This is an interesting one.
Right.
I want to pull this one out only because I've never seen one like this. In fact, if I looked at it and didn't know what it was, I would not think it's an orchid. And it looks like something that would be perfect for someone to grow, I don't know, indoors. Or how big will this get, like these? Or is it a nice tight little plant?
This is a nice tight little plant. It's a mini orchid, let's say. And there are lots of minis, so you can grow on patios. And this will grow very easily outdoors. And the fun thing about this plant is that once it blooms, it'll be in bloom for at least a couple of months. It holds its flowers for a very long time. It is from Papua New Guinea. It's a dendrobium, and dendrobiums, I believe, are the largest genus of orchids, and I forgot how many different species there are, but it's coolish growing, and can take down to the mid-40s.
But not direct sunlight on this one? I'm getting information, so I can know what to grow in my yard or whatever.
Well, for your yard, I'll recommend something else. But again, this is a cool growing, and it is tolerant for our area, and would do well on a patio, let's say, for your viewers here in the Asia world. Semi-coastal here, so it's cooler with the effects of the marine layer and good breezes and proper light. All of these actually would do well on a patio here, believe it or not.
Yeah, but I really do. I like this one.
Well,
now,
thank you.
Your event's coming up on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the 22nd to the 24th at Westminster Mall. And besides a show can people buy these orchids
Right.
there?
We actually have 15 vendors, plant
Okay.
vendors, both orchid vendors and non-orchid vendors.
Mm-hmm.
So if people are interested in other types of plants, there'll be succulents, tropicals,
Oh, nice.
bromeliads, oh gosh, a little bit of everything. And it's a good place to buy, a good opportunity. We have some of the top orchid nurseries in California coming to the event. And it'll be a time for people to learn how to grow. If they need to buy supplies, there will be some supplies available, lots of help. And in addition to that, we're not having orchid displays. This is more of an orchid fair, festival. But there will be an art display as well as a bonsai display
nice.
that we cooperate very closely and collaborate with the Vietnamese Orchid Society. And they've spawned a number of groups. They have 1,000 photographers, and so there'll be photography and not necessarily orchid photography, and there will be incredible bonsai display. The bonsai display is absolutely amazing. So, and it's just a lot of fun, and it's free, open to the public, easy access.
Yeah, it is free up there at Westminster Mall.
Right.
I have a question. When
Sure.
you get the flowers up here, and eventually they die out. Some
Right.
of them, I have one orchid, and it'll get really, really long like this, and all the little flowers come out. I never know, well, do I prune that back when they dry out? Do I cut back to here? I have no idea.
When your flowers are finished
Mm-hmm.
and it's done blooming, we're kind of fussy because we try to prevent virus in
Mm-hmm.
the plants. So use a clean instrument, a razor blade or a sterilized cutter.
Sure.
And cut right back to here.
Okay.
To this, and now what's nice about this, you can see actually this blooms multiple times off the same, well, this is called a cane.
Okay.
So it can bloom for several years, and just cut it back. If you have a phalaenopsis, which that grows indoors quite well.
Oh, that's the speaker.
Okay, it's the moth orchid. Yeah.
I thought you were talking about a type of cutter,
No.
the phalaenopsis cutter, to make sure you cut it right.
There might be one, who
There may
knows,
be,
in the
yeah.
specialized cutters. You can cut back to like the 5th node when it finishes blooming, and it'll probably then spike some more. Or you can just cut back the flower spike and let the plant rust a little bit, give it back its strength, and then it'll
And then they go
bloom for you.
dormant for a while?
Yeah,
as
they'll
far as-
stop. They have their
Yeah,
seasons.
depending what
Right.
it is. These are absolutely beautiful. If you want to take a look at these again, Westminster Mall, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. on Friday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Saturday, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Sunday. And it's Westminster Mall, so you're not paying anything. Free admission and free parking there. You'll learn so much. One last question. Where can people in general, if they don't get up to the show, buy a good variety of orchids around here?
Well, fortunately, we have Trader Joe's.
They
Home
do. So those
Depot,
are good to buy from.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And
Most
they're
of,
inexpensive there.
very.
Yeah.
That's the whole. It's the way the whole hobby and the industry is going. Actually,
Yeah.
they're pot plants. Buy them, throw them out.
Yeah.
If you don't want to rebloom them. It's a whole new revolution.
So that's fine to buy them there, or even you see them sometimes at the grocery
Sure.
store and stuff. Okay,
Something
that's
like
good
this
to know.
at one time would have cost thousands of dollars, or
Yeah.
potentially, and now you can have them for $12.99,
Yeah,
$7.99.
well, that's good news. So give it a
Yes.
try.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very
Absolutely.
good.
It's very rewarding.
And I want to give you their website. It's nhosinfo.org. You can get some information there. And I would think that if you even Google like Orange County Orchid Society or Orchid Growers, you're going to find information there,
Right.
something like that.
Or the Newport Harbor Orchid Society. There is an Orange County Orchid Society. There are lots of orchid societies in this area.
So there's plenty of places
and plenty
to
of
get
opportunities and lots of camaraderie, fun times. We socialize. We have a good time.
All right, Nancy, thank you very
Thank
much
you.
for coming on.
Thank you
These
for
are
having us.
absolutely, really, really beautiful, and I've learned something, so
Thank you.
you. All right, we will be back. Yeah, those are really nice.